Here's a quick project preview. We can refresh this and we see that the line animates as SVG paths from Illustrator. We can click on it and also make CSS properties appear and animate, and it is also responsive.
Hello, Gear Simon here, designcourse.com. Today we're going to play around with what's called SVG line animation. And so SVG files, of course, are scalable vector graphics, and they are superior in many ways to PNGs or JPEGs. And so basically what we're going to be doing is taking the DC Design Course lettermark logo, and you can download that for free at designcourse.com. Just requires a very quick and free registration. And then take that into Adobe Illustrator and modify it so that it has no fill but just a stroke. And then we'll open up a code editor and then work with CSS within the SVG in order to make it animate that line, the stroke that goes around it. All right, so check out designcourse.com if you haven't yet, and subscribe here on YouTube. All right, let's get started.
All right, so here in Adobe Illustrator, let's go ahead to open up the project files that you need to download. And by the way, to download those, just check out designcourse.com for this video and click download. You'll have to register real quick. It's free. And then download the project file. And this is the project file, which I just magically opened without going to file opener. No, I'm just kidding. I paused and opened it up. That way you wouldn't see all my porn folders. No, I'm just kidding. So this is the DC logo lettermark. And the idea here is, again, we're going to do a line animation. So by default, this is filled and there's no stroke. So this is the fill. This is a stroke, it's empty. So what we need to do is kind of just reverse that. So over here, make sure your color panel's up, and if you need any panels that aren't here that I use, just go to Window and then open them up in here. All right, so let's go ahead with the fill selected and just click on this one with the red slash, and that makes it none. So now there's nothing. Now we'll switch over here to the stroke, and we will make this one temporarily black. All right, so now let's go ahead and by the way, if you want to get rid of these little vertices, you just hit Control H or Command H on Mac. So now it's selected, we can increase this, and this looks like crap right there. So what we need to do is go to stroke, and we can align the stroke either right by default, it's in the middle of the line or the path. We could change it to inside or outside, in which case it looks a hell of a lot better. All right, so I'm gonna see something real quick. This looks strange. There's like an issue right there. Hit Control H to bring this back. What I could do is try to experiment real quick with the settings here in stroke, and let's see if, well, first let's try to mess with the stroke weight. Well, that makes it pretty much invisible, or we can't really see it at 6 points. You can see even more right there. Let's try adjusting this. Okay, so taking that down to 0. Let's try like 40. All right, well, let's try 5. Sorry about that. Oh man, there's not quality control with these daily video tutorials, I tell you. Yeah, changing it to 2 doesn't really help. 0 does help. You know what we're gonna do? We're gonna leave it at 10, and we're going to simply go down in size. That way we can't see it. Maybe it's an issue that won't even pop up when it comes to actual the SVG. So yeah, this is it. It's transparent here in the middle. So whatever's behind it, we'll be able to see it in the center of this. And yeah, so what we want to do now is go ahead and save this as an SVG file. So go ahead to File and Save As, and save it in a project folder, an empty folder, and we'll come down here, change that to SVG. Let's leave it as DC logo as the name, hit save, and then we'll come out here, SVG options 1.1, link, yes, Now, by default, I think Illustrator will set this to presentation attributes. And if you do that and you hit SVG code right here, that brings that up in a new document. Let me scale this window down so you can see it. All right. So we could see that it has this elaborate path. That's the actual, I think the line for the DC logo. And we'll see that it has this path and D equals, and there's no like classes or anything. So what we can do is change that. We could do that by specifying style elements. So now if we click on SVG code, dang it, stupid thing loaded up in another big window. We come down here. Now we have classes on these, although I don't see a class on this one, but that's no big deal. We'll figure it out. So yeah, now what I want to do is go ahead and hit OK. All right. Oh, and I just realized what those are these other layers for some reason I had hidden. So let me bring this back real quick. Delete those. Now we're going to go to File, Save As, overwrite it. Now if we go to SVG code, it's just going to be that big long path. So cool. All right. Now we'll save it. Okay, so now that we have that done, and I'm going to open up my code editor, and I use Sublime Text, and you could use Notepad or whatever allows you to enter text. It doesn't really matter. And I have the project folder open right now. All there is our empty, well, almost empty. There's the SVG file, but there's nothing else. And so, sorry about that. I had to pause. People were being loud downstairs. And so I just want to save this. I'm going to go to recent places here, project, and name this index.html. All right. And then I'm going to paste in some, just real quick, HTML structure. Just like that. Very simple. We have the HTML opening tag, the head tag. We got some other stuff in here in the title, closing head tag, and body. That's where we're going to work. All right. So I'm going to create a quick div. I'm going to do some inline CSS as well, just so it's centered up and everything. So I'm going to put in for this div style equals, and this is how you do inline CSS. Instead of like linking up a CSS file properly. This is just for a demo, so I'm going to do it real quick. I'm going to do, I think, yeah, text-align center. And when we embed the SVG, there's several different ways to do it. You can embed it via an image tag or an object embed tag, which is what we're going to do. And so we'll just get this centered up there. I think I'm also going to do padding for the top and bottom. I'll try 150 pixels and 0. And yeah, I think that's all for now. Close that div tag up. And I'm going to put in our embed tag. So we put first object, close that up, come up inside, embed source equals DC logo.svg. And then we could put, actually, you know what? I kind of forgot something. Let me go back here to Illustrator. And because, okay, let me zoom out here, holding Alt in the scroll wheel. Usually it's a good idea to go to Document Setup, click on Edit Artboards, and then you can scale this down roughly to the size of the object, the SVG element. So just do that real quick, and then we'll save it again. There. Now we'll save. I want to save as just to make sure it has our settings set here properly. And yeah, style elements. Okay, cool. Now we'll come down and put over here. I'm going to see what happens if we don't give it a width and height. I never did that before, but so we'll see. All right, and cool. So let's just see if this works by default. Obviously, it's not going to animate yet, but I'm going to preview this in the browser. So I'm going to open up my index.html. Looks like it worked, fortunately, for now at least. And we could see it right here, just like that. Pretty simple. All right, and so if we come back here and we click on our SVG, we can see all this craziness inside of here. And there's a few things that we don't need. These first 3 lines at the top that Illustrator generates, we can just get rid of those. All right, and what we can do at the end of that tag, this is all one attribute as for SVG, we could put in a tag called defs, as in definitions, and that's where you could put JavaScript and CSS. In our case, we're just going to stick with CSS rather, and I'm going to put style, and then inside here, this is where we have all of our stuff at. So you can get, this is called a group, and basically that means a layer. So if we had multiple layers, they could be separated into different groups. All right, so this one I'm going to give an ID of DC logo. All right, and here's where we're going to get started. So we're going to reference the DC logo, open that up in tags, and I'm going to put stroke dash, and then dash dash array, and I'm going to try like 800 just for now, and then stroke dash offset 0, and because I'm using Chrome, I know I need to put WebKit animation dash 2 seconds linear forwards. Now, if you want this to work for all browsers, what you would have to do is copy this 3 more times, change this to O for Opera, what the heck's the other one? Oh, Moz for Mozilla, and then just animation like that. It's a pain, but yeah, worth doing, I guess. And then down here, okay, so when it comes to this animation where it says dash, that's the name of the animation. And then what we have to do now is set up keyframes. So at dash WebKit dash keyframes dash, that's the name that we're referencing. This is where we could put keyframes at and kind of control how, you know, whatever it does that it's going to do. So from stroke dash offset 800, and then we'll come over here, just copy that real quick, change from to 0, and then save. Now, with any luck, we go back and refresh this. Now, it's not going to be correct. It's going to look half-assed probably. So if I refresh, and nothing happens, of course, so let me go back real quick. All right, and I had to pause to figure that out, why that wasn't working. And it was because I had this stroke aligned inside, and apparently that's no good. So what I have to do is switch back here real quick, and all I have to do is take this, and we will, wait 1 second, we got to go back and make sure we save our stuff here. So I'm going to copy this, because this is going to get overwritten, unfortunately. So copy that and save it, and we'll go back here, switch this to the center where it's supposed to be, take the limit down to 5, that way it doesn't look so much like crap over here, and then save it, reload it, and there we go. Now it added an actual stroke width and all that stuff that we can mess with. All right, so get rid of these 3 lines, and it gave it a class this time of STO, which is fine. So now what we could do, I'm going to paste in our stuff again, defs, and take that, change that. All right, now let's see if this thing will work. All right, go back and refresh. Oh yeah, sweet, but it's not long enough, so we have to take that 800 and really increase it to a different size. Now, it is possible with JavaScript. I haven't messed with it yet to determine the value automatically. So I haven't done it, so I'm just going to do it just by guesstimating. That looked like it was like halfway. I'm gonna try 1200 real quick, and this may take a couple times. All right, needs to be a lot longer than that. All right, so I changed that to 2000, and that seems to work. And 2 seconds is like way too quick, so you can see how fast that is. Although you don't want to sit there forever watching this animate, so maybe just an adjustment to 4 seconds. Like that. Pretty cool. All right. So what if you wanted this to be responsive? Like right now, if we drag this in, it's going to be like this massive thing that's just taking up space. So what we could do is come up here. The width and the height have exact values. We can just delete those. Just like that. And this is going to probably become massive at this point. Yeah, so what we want to do is in our index.html, we can probably put this in another div. Oops. Actually, you know what we could do? I think width equals 40%, height equals 40%. Is that a square? I don't even know. Hold on. It may not be perfect. Yeah, that appears to work still. To refresh that. Now look how cool that is. Sweet. And so, of course, you know, if you go in here, you can have fun adjusting a lot of interesting things. Let's say, for example, you want something to happen when you hover over it. All right, so all you have to do is, we'll give this an ID on the SVG attribute area. So ID equals logo. And then what we could do is put logo hover.sto. And let's say we want to change, let's say we wanted to give it a fill color. Let's just make it black. Fill, that's the color code for black. Of course. Oh, and that's because I said that ID was redefined. I didn't know this already had an ID. It's right there. Oops. Yeah, that'll make it break, I guess. So let's just rename that to logo. Get rid of that. Also, I noticed I screwed this up over here. This needs moved down, even though it was still working somehow. You can just put type equals text-css. All right. Now we'll try that again. Refresh. What the? So ridiculous. Got to delete this other style tag from the one I deleted up there. Damn it. Refresh. And let's see what happens when we hover over it. Oh, yeah, that's nice. Look at that. That looks so nice, doesn't it? I like it. So yeah, you can even do more, and I guess I'll just show you more just because I don't have anything else to do. Let's come over here. And let's say we want to give it a little bit of a transition so the white to black fill isn't so dramatic, I guess you could say, or instantaneous. All you have to do is put transition point, we'll try 8 seconds. And what'll happen is this still won't work. I'll just show you. It'll still be instantaneous because the fill is set to none by default, so it's not able to transition from one color to another. So if we just change that to white, we can try it now. Well, let me make this bigger. Kind of looks stupid. Like that. And then, of course, you can add so many other animations to this. Using CSS animations. So if you've never messing around with CSS animations, you can do a lot of cool, interesting things. You can move this thing around. You can rotate it. You can, you know, whatever you think you can do, you probably could do. So, and also, let's say you wanted to make it a button or something. So what you would do is, yeah, we are logo. Yeah, what we would do is take a logo, cursor, pointer. And now, if you hover over it, it's now like a link. And if you wanted to actually change something based on it being clicked, like nothing happens obviously, and apply a specific CSS class to that, well, you can add JavaScript. I wasn't going to do this. I wasn't going to go into this much depth, but screw it. We're here. Might as well. So script type equals text dash JavaScript. And what we can do is var, I'll just call it clicker, equals document.query selector. And we want to select the logo. Clicker.add event listener. Click function. And close all that up, and then inside this class list.toggle, and we want to toggle on a class. This is going to be the class name, and we'll just call this click it, whatever. Okay, so it's 4 lines of code. What this does is basically say if somebody clicks on anywhere on this logo portion, add click it, which is a CSS class, which we'll write now. So what we'll do is put over here is logo, not PHP, what the hell? Hands on the wrong place. Logo dot click it dot st0. All right, so now we could put in some other thing. So what could we make happen? We could take the fill and make it yellow. It's probably gonna look stupid. I don't know. Let's see here. Refresh it and hover over it and then click it. Damn you. 1 second. That might be why I have like a $sign instead of the number sign. Oh, look at that. Let me let it complete before I do that. Cool. You can click it again and it'll toggle off. And then you could probably even add you could add animation to that as well. So when I click state, you can make animations play and all that cool stuff. So yeah, hopefully you guys learned something. You know what? This is stupid, this yellow thing. That just annoys me for some reason. I want to make it the actual color of the logo. Oops, let me come out here. So if I get out the original AI file does not exist. I must have deleted it. There it is. And get that RGB color code here. Copy that. Come back. Fill will be that color. And then stroke will be that color as well. So there we go. So it goes from all black to blue. There we go. That's much better. You know, transition between. Fun stuff. All right. So hopefully you learned a lot here, and you'll definitely see SVG becoming more popular as time progresses, because it's truly vector. You don't have to deal with the pixelation from PNGs or JPEGs or anything like that. And sorry, my audio or my recorder cut out. But yeah, that is it. So check out designcourse.com if you haven't yet. Subscribe here on YouTube. Register your account at Design Course and stop by the forums. Introduce yourself. I will say hi for certain. I'm all over that forum. Okay. All right. I will see you tomorrow with a new video. All right. Goodbye.